Yo, what's up, guys? We're live. We're just watching the ceremonial weigh-ins, so gonna break down this whole UFC 305 card for you guys and give you guys some betting perspectives and some free bets. So what's up, Fitz, man? How you doing, brother?
Good, man. I mean, just getting the live ceremonial weigh-ins right now. We're really amped up, ready to go. We saw the guys square off. We see how everyone looks face to face. So, I think we're ready to go, and it's going to be a great night of fights.
Yeah, dude, for sure. And just right before we get the video started, hit the like button, everyone in here, and yeah, man. But first fight of the night, I'll let you go first on that one. You got any bets or any leans on that first fight?
No, really. I mean, I would almost like to be on the underdog Aguilar here, but I'm not. I'm picking Nickel to win. Um, Maybe look to target him inside the distance because he does have some really nasty ground and pound. I think he does have some finishing upside. But I'm gonna take him by decision. Ultimately, but not one of my more confident plays. Not nothing I'm really looking to bet too hard. Plus 150. I don't even think it's that great of a line, to be honest. Aguilar missed weight. I think he'll be a little undersized here again, and I just think Nickel is gonna make good on his debut. I think he'll be better everywhere, to be honest.
I got you. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that Nico's gonna kind of take it everywhere, but I do like the under in the fight. I feel like it should be. I guess now you look at it, it's plus 120. I still think there's value if it's plus money, just because you look at Aguilar. Both of his losses are on the ground submission losses. Stuart Nickel is gonna bring it to the ground. He's finished all of his fights except for one, so I just think if he's gonna win, he's probably gonna get the finish, and if he doesn't get the finish, then it could end up playing out a little bit closer. So that's kind of what I'm thinking with that fight. Honestly, I think the under, but yeah, man. I don't know. You think Aguilar could potentially win it, or what were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how Nickel's gonna look. I think the UFC jitters, the debut, could definitely um, play into effect. But I think he's talented, and I think he'll make good on his UFC debut. Aguilar, despite these two wins in a row, he's someone I'm not really too high on. As far as his skills go.
Yeah, I got you. And next one, Keenan Song versus Ricky Glenn. This line's kind of been going up and down now. It kind of around minus 200, and I think Keenan Song's still gonna get it done here. I feel like he's just gonna pick his shots, be the better athlete, heavier puncher, the guy that's been fighting more frequently, more durable. More used to fighting at this weight class. But I will say, I mean, Ricky Glenn looked like almost the same size as Song at the weigh-ins, which man, it's pretty surprising that he used to fight at 145 for so long. But I just don't know what to think about Ricky Glenn, what he has left. I mean, maybe he can come back and have another good performance, but hard for me to kind of bank on that. And the line, like I said, it was like down at minus 160 at one point, where some money did come in on Ricky Glenn, but now it's back at minus 200. So I guess some people think Ricky Glenn has a chance here, but yeah, what's your perspective on this fight here?
Yeah, I like Song. I think he's the true 170 pounder, and even though if they were pretty similar in the face off, I think Song is more filled out, more muscular, and I think he'll be faster and sharper on the feet. I don't know if he'll get the knockout. I know Glenn has gotten smoked really quickly, two times in a row, but before that, it was pretty impossible to take out. So maybe not cutting the weight will help him with his durability. But yeah, I'm all over Song here. I'm pretty confident. Besides the big favorites, I'd say he's one of the more confident plays of the night for me.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he's playable. His money line is playable. So to me, I think Kenan Song is a pretty good bet there. But next fight, Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. You can go first on this one. I mean, you see any value in Reyes, or what do you think about here?
No, I'm not going to be betting Alex Reyes, flying over the world to Australia. He has a crazy, like, one of the weirdest UFC careers ever. Crazy story. So, he went through some crazy stuff. I know we were talking about with the stem cell and him being paralyzed. So, pretty cool he was even ever able to compete again. But I'm not picking him here. I know Tom Nolan, there's no reason Tom Nolan should be this big of a favorite against anyone, really, in my opinion. After in his debut, he was a huge favorite, dropped the ball, got knocked out, and then in the second fight, he was an even bigger favorite and got dropped again. So this guy clearly has some chin question marks. But yeah, I would just never really pick Alex Reyes in a UFC fight. I don't think.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I feel like the value's on Reyes, but not sure if he's gonna be able to get the job done. I don't know how you could justify Nolan at that price, but he's probably gonna go
Look
in
at
there and
his
rule. You know,
knockout line is -500.
yeah. I mean,
It's
him by
ridiculous.
sub at plus 500. Does he have any subs? I mean, to me that would be a decent bet, just because if they have him winning inside the distance that highly, I mean, maybe he can club and sub him or something. But yeah, man, I mean, Reyes by knockout plus 1400. I don't think that's a horrible bet if you want to put like a few dollars on it. But outside of that, don't really know what to say about that fight there. I mean, pretty much a setup fight. But Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. I mean, what are you thinking with this one?
Yeah, I like Jack Jenkins a lot, actually. But again, I think the line is just too high. Herbert Burns in the first round is a pretty good fighter. I think he can be dangerous, but he just death gasses. I think his name is Blaze, and it's fitting because he just goes out in a blaze of glory. Jenkins, I'm looking to bounce back. His last two performances, he's 1-1, but neither have been a great performance. He is coming off an injury, so that's a question mark. But he looked really good in the weigh-ins. Looking jacked. Burns too, coming in good shape. But I like Jenkins to get the job done here. It's just for me, this one's a little tough to figure out the method of victory because Jenkins is pretty well rounded, but I think it'll ultimately be a KO for Jenkins, and it might even be earlier. I think under is pretty live here, under 1.5.
Yeah, I think it'll be a knockout. I mean, I would be kind of surprised if he submitted Herbert Burns, just because, even though Herbert Burns kind of quits in there, I don't think he wants to get submitted. That'd be like probably the most embarrassing thing for him. So he'll let himself get pounded out, you'd think. And I don't think that that line is playable though, like Jenkins by knockout. So
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
agree.
I don't
It's
know.
too
And even
steep.
the under 1.5, it's like I don't know. I would just go with round two or round three maybe, because I don't know if he's gonna finish him in the first. I feel like people know how dangerous Herbert is early. They kind of give him that respect, and he's gotten some first round finishes himself. So if Herbert wins, I guess I think it'll go under. But yeah, I feel like Jenkins will win probably in the second round. That's how every single loss that Herbert Burns has had has been in round two. So but yeah, man. I mean, what do you think that it'll be first round or?
I think he might get him out of there pretty quickly, to be honest. You know, I just don't know, what type of mindset Herbert Burns has coming into this fight, how he thinks he's going to do for himself. This is a tough fight, in my opinion. And I think Jenkins is really looking to make a statement.
What do you think about Jenkins too, though? I mean, he is coming off. I think he had to have leg surgery or something like that as well, because he
So,
had that
so
fight
two,
with
yeah,
Shep.
two injuries, or
Well, I don't
so
know.
I think it was an arm or a shoulder. I think he popped
Oh yeah,
against.
never mind. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
But
But
it's been a year. I think that's ample time to recover. He's still a young guy. It's athletes at that age recover. I really believe. And I think they're fighting in Australia. It's the crowd's gonna be going crazy for him. He's a fan favorite. A guy who has that no popularity boost. So I think they're trying to set up for a big Jack Jenkins moment here. Really.
yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why him inside the distance is so crazy. But yeah, next one I actually like this fight: Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. And yeah, man, money's came in on Casey a little bit, and I agree with that. I feel like she's gonna be able to push the pace and get the job done if she can just kind of fight smart and get out of that first few minutes without taking too much damage or getting finished. Luana, I feel like, is unproven. She's gotten these some nice finishes and that win over Stephanie Egger, but Casey O'Neill to me is the first kind of well-rounded girl with cardio, with everything that she's gonna fight. She is fighting twice really quick too, which same thing with someone else in the card that we're gonna talk about. But I feel like that could be an issue for her because she did miss weight even at 135, and I know she had a health problem when that was going on. But to cut down to 125 twice, flying to Australia in like 6 weeks. I don't think she's gonna have her optimal performance either way. And I just think O'Neal, if she goes in there motivated, I mean, she switched camps, she went to the MMA lab, and two losses in a row. I mean, this is kind of a do or die position for her, and she's getting to do it at home. And I feel like she can go out there, mix it up, and get some takedowns, get the win here. Use her jab, use her boxing, and I feel like if she can get on the inside, she's going to be the better striker. Just Santos is powerful and kind of wild with those looping shots, but yeah, I think O'Neal can win. I don't know, like at this point, I still think if you can get her at like plus 125, there's some value, but once it starts getting to a pick 'em or something, I'll just start to pass on it. But yeah, I'm gonna go with O'Neal here.
Yeah, me too. I think on Monday we were all on O'Neal. I'm a fan of hers. I think she's training at Fight Ready now. Which is for me, a little bit weird because she was always for me one of really extreme couture. Like she was really repping their gym. So, but going to another amazing camp. Fighting in Australia. I think O'Neal's a pick here. I think she'll get the job done by decision. For me, she's gotta push a pretty heavy pace. I think that's how she'll have success. Make it mix in some takedowns. Push her against the fence and use that jab. March forward. Don't let Luana use the footwork. And I think just as the fight goes on, Casey should have more success. Especially considering all the factors you were talking about. Luana, another weight cut on two times in a short amount of time and flying across the world. So I like O'Neal here. Um, you finally get some value on her after she's been like overvalued in so many of her fights in a row.
Yeah, so hopefully she comes through for us. But this next one, I'll let you go first because I think you said you were fairly confident here. So what do you think about it?
Yeah, no, definitely not confident. This is a tough one for me. I'm going Kulabau, but I'm a big fan of Ricardo Ramos. It's hard for me not to pick him because normally I do, but I think Kulabau is just going to be a lot cleaner on the feet. I don't really know if Ramos is going to be able to have success with the grappling. Ramos I do think has some finishing power with those crazy strikes. His spinning back elbow is nasty, but Kulabal is a diverse striker, and I think he's gonna be able to edge out a decision against Ramos here.
Yeah, I kind of agree, but to me, this is like a total pass. I don't have a great read on it because I didn't like Kulab in his last fight, man. I mean, he was just given the backup so easily. It's like if Ramos comes in with good cardio, I think he could take the back and backpack him for 3 rounds, but Kulabau's going to be moving around, and it's just going to be if Ramos has that ability to kind of explode in and close the distance without eating those shots and without, having to expend a lot of energy. But yeah, man, I feel like cool about either he had an off performance in that last fight or I don't know what it was, but he just was giving up the back so easily that I think it makes Ramos pretty live. And but I'm still gonna go with cool about just because I don't trust Ramos' gas tank. But the thing about it is, I mean, if you look at Ramos' losses, I think all of them except for one were in the first round, and it's not like Kulabau is like someone that's going to go out there and take you out early most of the time. So it's kind of interesting, if this fight goes longer, who that favors. But I'll kind of lean with Kulabau, I guess. But to me, that's one of the fights that I have like the worst reads on. But yeah, man, this next one, Junior Tofa versus Walter Walker. The lines kind of kept coming down. Walker was a bigger underdog. Now it's pretty much a pick 'em. You see, it's plus 100 in that one book over there. And yeah, man, I just feel like Walker's gonna blanket him to a decision, but not too interested in this fight really. I feel like it's probably gonna be pretty boring. If Toffa wins, it will be entertaining because you'll get that quick knockout. But I just don't have too much to say about this one. But I feel like Walker, if you want to bet him to win by decision, it could be a decent price. And even him by submission at plus 1,000. I mean, I know he doesn't have very many, but Toffa isn't good on the ground at all. I mean, maybe he could be able to do something, get that submission later on in the fight, and you could catch a big play like that. But what about you? Do you got a lean on this one?
Yeah, I like Walker. I think his size is going to be an advantage, and he has some wrestling ability. But it's a pretty low level fight. And Tafa can easily sleep him, very easily. So just be careful if you're betting Walker, and if you're betting Tofa, you got to be worried about the takedowns. But I'm sure he's always working that takedown defense. He knows that these guys are be coming in with this game plan, and Walker is not like a high level guy, who I think can rely on getting takedowns steadily, against a lot of fighters. So we'll see. I'll ultimately go Walker here, but low level heavyweight fights, you really want to stay away. But I think Walker's a decent bet here, honestly.
Yeah, what do you think about that over 1.5? You think that's a good play there at like minus 175?
I mean it's a little steep in my opinion. Because I don't know, I could see either of these guys getting a finish. I could see it going to decision though too, especially if Walker wins or if Walker can't get the takedowns. But it's tough. It's just I feel like that's just a little steep of a line for a heavyweight fight.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, but yeah, man. Next fight on the card, I'll let you go first on that one because I think you got a play on this fight. So, yeah, man, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go ahead and shoot a dog and pick the Leech. I've always been a big fan of his. It's tough. I'm not going crazy too confident because of that 2 year layoff because of the back surgery. But looking at him on the scales, he looks in really good shape, man. And Pratis, he can make me look really bad. He's super dangerous on the feet. He's really looked good in the UFC. Some devastating finishes, but it's going to play out on the feet. And Leech is, a really great striker. Um, Obviously, he could have regressed in this time, but I'm going to go ahead and put my money and say that he hasn't. And, um, I like the Leech to get the job done. I think he'll win a decision, hard fought. Um, I think he could have success with his boxing, and being the guy with more output. He mixes up the kicks too. Can vary the attacks. Obviously, Pratis, has that touch of death. So Leech is going to have to be very careful. But um, he's pretty durable. I'm going to check right now how many times he's been finished off the top of my head.
He's never been knocked out. I know that for sure, but he's
Yeah,
been submitted
definitely never.
a few times.
And I just don't know if Pratis is going to submit him. So to be the first guy to knock out Leech would be a huge statement. Pratis is definitely the guy that capable of doing that. But I just think there's a lot of value here on Leech at plus 300. It's a great line.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, and I think if you have to pick a value side, it would be the Leech. But I just can't get myself there. I mean, I feel like I went back and I watched his last fight with D Rod, and I feel like even in that fight, he just didn't look as explosive, and he had a decent layoff between that fight and the fight before. So now he's coming in off a long layoff, an injury, and I just don't exactly know how he's gonna look here, But if he comes in and he's looking like the Leech, man, it's gonna be a good bet because I feel like it'll be close on the feet. I mean, the Leech is gonna be tough for a guy that has usually weapons that are like straight down the middle, like straight punches, uppercuts, knees, like Pratis, because he's always moving his head, man. Like, and it's kind of like he's coming in on those weird angles and throwing those looping shots. And you said Pratis has that touch of death, but the Leech does too, man. He has a lot of
Yeah.
knockouts. He's killed some really good fighters too. Like he finished Zaleski, he finished Muslim Salikov, he finished Ponzi. So he definitely has the power to knock out Pratis if he can connect too. But I just feel like Pratis is probably going to get the range on him and be able to kind of take the decision. I think he's going to be cognizant of the Leech, his power and his offense. So I kind of like the over in this fight a lot. I like the over 1.5 rounds at minus 175. I feel like um, the Leech is most likely not going to get knocked out. And unless you think he's going to finish Pratis early on, like round one, I think it's a decent bet because if it gets in the second round and starts going, both guys kind of feel their each other's power. It could kind of become a slower fight. So I like that. And even the fight goes to decision, it's not that much better. Like plus 155. So I mean the 1.5 I think is where you have the most value. But yeah, that's kind of what I would go with. But what do you think? You said it's going to be a decision, so
Yeah, I think that's a really smart. But even if not, I think that over 1.5 is really safe because I think if it's a knockout, it would be later on in the fight. I really don't see either of these guys getting put out early, so I think that over 1.5 is a great shout. But yeah, I think fight goes to decision.
Yeah, and I'm
It,
excited for that fight though, bro, for sure.
yeah,
It's gonna
it's the whole main card is stacked. It's a great main card. All the fights are really good. All five of them.
yeah, and hopefully the Leech does come back and look good because that was like a bad injury that he had to come back from. Like I don't, or I guess it wasn't even an injury. It was like a spinal infection or whatever it was. But it's two guys that had like spine injuries on this card, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, man. Next fight we got a heavyweight fight: Jairzinho versus Ty, and I just try to pick. I'm gonna go with Ty in this one, and I get it. I get like Ty's lost four in a row. He's not really looking the best, and I was thinking that Jairzinho was gonna like use that jab, pick his shots, and kind of accumulate it on him, and then finish him. And it still could happen, but I feel like Ty, if he really makes this a dogfight and pushes that pace, he's gonna be a little bit faster and more durable and like kind of like a war. If you watch like Jairzinho versus Volkov and then Ty versus Volkov, it seemed like Ty was able to take a lot more damage in that fight, and he had some decent success versus Volkov as well. So I just feel like if he presses it and makes it a dogfight, he could kind of catch Rosenstruck off guard. Rosenstruck's one of these guys that likes to, go backwards and forwards on straight lines. He doesn't really cut a lot of angles. He likes to kind of lean back counter, like he, that's why Francis like ran him over. But Ty's obviously, I don't think it'd do that, but I just feel like it'll play out 50-50, honestly. Even if it goes deeper in the fight, I mean, Jairzinho isn't necessarily high volume or anything, so I think Ty could get more output and win a decision too. So I just think Ty has some value here at like almost plus 200.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. I'm gonna be on Jarzinho. Just I think he's the more skilled fighter. He's a more fighter who's more reliable and has I think will fight better over the 3 rounds. Honestly, I think Ty's durability used to be a lot better than it was. I think he's taken a lot of damage. And that definitely accumulates over time. But Jarzinho too as well has been in some really tough fights. And of course, Ty is live to get a knockout in any fight. But I just think Jarzinho here is better. He's the better striker. He's more skilled, especially with the hands. I think he'll be landing on Ty. To be honest.
Yeah, he's definitely going to land. It's just going to be whether, like you said, if Ty still has that durability to make it a dogfight and get the win, or if he doesn't anymore. But what do you think? Like, if you're on the Jairzinho side, I've seen a few people with this take where they're leaning towards Jairzinho decision or the overs if they like Jairzinho. So are you kind of thinking the same with that, or you think Jairzinho's like in a steamroll him type of thing?
I don't know if he'll steamroll him because we see Biggie Boy be patient in a lot of his fights. I feel, but he also does fight some 5 rounders too. But that over 1.5 at plus 150, plus 143. I like that line, the 1.5. I don't know if it goes to decision though, but I could see it being a later knockout. Maybe play Jarzinho rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I've just seen a few people and they've like hit me up. They're saying like they think that has value, like Jairzinho decision. So,
I mean, I
but
see what they're saying definitely. Because
yeah,
because
when you
Ty's tough, and Biggie Boy can have that low pace.
when you look too like at Jairzinho, a lot of his finishes were after the third round, like the
Yeah,
Shamil fight.
Alistair.
So I think he's finished all of his fights, but a lot later on, or some of them at least. But yeah, man. Next fight. If you want to go first on this one, because I know you got another bet here for Dan Hooker versus Gamrot.
Yeah, so I really want to go with Hooker here. I'm not ultimately. I got to sleep on it one more night. I think he looks great on the scales, but I just think Hooker's powerful. He's dangerous. And Gamrot, he gets touched, he gets dropped in a lot of these fights. But I'm a huge fan of Gamrot. I think his wrestling is some of the best we see in the entire UFC. And as far as his takedown ability goes, his ability to get to that single leg. He's really good on the ground too. We've seen him go up against the best guys in the world like Arman, on the ground and have success. But I think there is question marks with Gamrot's chin. Look at what Benil did to him. Hooker can definitely catch him. Hooker looks huge. I don't know how much Dan's been training with all the time he's been on the tattoo table, but um, yeah, I just think the value here. I think the line's too wide, so that's what it's really tempting to pick Dan Hooker.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a tough one because you look at Hooker, like he does have a couple of those like knocked out Miller and he knocked out Gilbert Burns back in the day, but it's like he hasn't fought very many wrestlers. Like even if you watch his last fight with Jalen Turner, like he double legged Hooker so easily. It's like when you see stuff like that, I mean, maybe it's just because he's not really thinking about it, but if his takedown defense is that bad, I mean, Gamer's really just gonna run through him, I think. But yeah, I feel like the under in this fight is decent value, even the under 1.5, because I could see Gamrot going out there, taking down, passing his guard, submitting him quick. And I feel like if Hooker's gonna win this, man, it's gonna have to be round one or like early in the second round, because if he lets Gamrot get his game going and start taking him down, he's gonna get really tired, man. I mean, you see the pace that Gamrot pushes, it's pretty crazy. So I just don't think there's like a lot of value in him getting a late round finish here. So I think if he wins, it would be early too. So I kind of think there's some value on the unders in this one. And yeah, man. I mean, what do you think? You think Hooker can actually win like a decision, or he would have to get a finish?
I mean, if it's tough to say. I would lean finish, but if he drops him in one round, and then I would guess if he's going to decision, he's at least losing one round, and one round plays out closely where Hooker has success on the feet, but Gamrot gets some control. It just depends how good the defensive grappling of Hooker is going to be, because Gamrot's going to possess a huge threat. Offensively, you know that. Um, but yeah, I think it's not outside of the realm of my bad. My mic got unplugged. But I don't think it's like outside of the realm of impossibility that Hooker gets a decision, I would think this fight probably goes over rather than under. I don't know. It's hard to me thinking Hooker gets ran through in Australia. That would be, I mean, if Gamrot does that, that's a big statement in my opinion. And he'll probably be leaning towards that, interim title shot that he's calling for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think if Gamrot does pass his guard, I think he'll submit him for sure. Just like from what I've seen from Hooker on the ground. But yeah, I mean, he has to get him there and get in that position first. So we'll see what happens with that one. But Kai Car Fritz versus Steve Erceg. You got to take on this fight.
Yeah, so originally I said Kai Carl France as a dog, I was thinking, but we talked about some concussion issues, and that's just not something I like. I rewatched Erceg's fight with Pantoja, and man, Erceg is so good. I'm going Erceg. He's like the real hometown fighter on the card too, from Perth. So the crowd especially is going to be going crazy for him, and I like him to get the job done here. This is another one where it's a little difficult for me to see the path to victory. I think probably decision, but maybe he gets a finish, to be honest, because we've seen Kai Car Friends finish, multiple times submitted and stuff. So I could see Erceg doing that too.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards Erceg to win inside the distance here, but we'll see, man. I mean, I think it's going to be a good one because Kai Kara is going to come in motivated. I think even though he has all those issues, it's like if he wins this fight, he's going to get a title shot. I guess Erceg he could, but I feel like he's a little bit less likely just because he just fought for the belt. But I just think Kai is going to be moving around, and I think he's going to start out really good. I think he's going to be landing more, using his kicks and kind of being the diverse guy. But I think Erceg is going to be able to start cutting him off, and he's really big for the weight. And I just think he's going to outbox him in the pocket, land power shots, and ultimately, I just feel like he's going to hurt Kai, and then submit him or just kind of beat him by decision. So I I think Erceg's gonna win inside the distance here though. I like the money line too, so I'm liking Steve Erceg this week for the win here. But yeah, man, main event time. Dricus Duplessis versus Israel Adesanya. I mean, first of all, what do you think about Israel going into the fight? You think any of that the press conference stuff is gonna linger into the fight or anything like that?
No, I mean for me, Izzy's always been a little weird, a little sensitive, done some weird things, says some weird stuff. I'm not always the biggest fan of him. I think he can be corny, so him crying at a press conference is for me pretty on brand. For me, he's always able to come into the fight with a game plan. He's 100% all business. When it comes to fight night. I don't think he'll really let any emotions get to him in there. He's a very professional athlete. I believe a lot of antics outside of the octagon, but when the cage door is locked, he's all business. It's a tough fight, man. I'm on Izzy here. I think he does get the belt back, and I think he gets a knockout. Honestly, Duplessis is huge. He's gonna pose a lot of danger. I think he would do well to wrestle Izzy, but I think Izzy snipes him. He counters him and puts Duplessis away.
Yeah, I kind of like the value on the plus 300 for Adesanya by knockout. But man, I'm not too confident on like a pure prediction. I feel like it could really go either way. It's just gonna come down to I think Dricus's game plan because I feel like he kind of has the path to victory if he fights um smart. I feel like he has to try to close that distance, not bite on the feints like Strickland did, and just be real defensive and then kind of back him up and mix it up, let go with punches and try to get the takedown, just be high volume. And he could do that, but I don't know. I just think he's gonna open up and Israel's gonna find that shot and get him out of there and get the knockout within like the first 3 rounds. But I usually tend to always pick against Dricus and he proves me wrong most of the time. So it's like you never know. It could play out the different way. But you look at Dricus's losses too, like his loss to Roberto Soldic. He was kind of a similar type striker where he used leg kicks and feints and was kind of piecing Dricus up. And Dricus did knock him out once as well, but Soldic I think beat him twice, and then he struggled with like Brad Tavares a little bit. He struggled in the fight with Darren Till. So clearly, he doesn't do the greatest for his style, but having said that, he usually does end up winning, even though he has to come through some adversity. So we'll see if he can do that again here. But I kind of feel like Israel's going to be a little bit more pinpoint than those other guys and get him out of there. And Israel looks really big, so maybe he's going to come in with a little bit of extra power. But yeah, I mean, maybe we're going to be disrespecting Dricus again because I could definitely see Dricus coming out of here. And if he wins, I think it's going to be, really dominant win for him. So yeah, that's just kind of what I feel like.
Yeah, which would be, definitely a change in the guard, which I think, the age, kind of is a factor, he is, the more youthful fighter. That's got to play a part, it could be a change in the guard, but, I'll still have faith in Izzy. I think he'll get that 3-time middleweight strap, he wants that. He's a guy who likes to chase records and stuff. Um, I just think it's a pick 'em fight. That's why it's money's they're getting action both ways. You expect Izzy honestly to be a little bit more of a favorite in my opinion. But money is coming on Driscus pretty much all week. So it's a nice line right at even odds. I like Izzy. But I think that age is a little bit of a question mark. I see what you're saying. Where if Duplessis wins, he'll look dominant. And that's definitely a little scary. Thinking of Izzy getting ragdolled like that. But I think he catches still knocks.
Yeah, man. So definitely looking forward to this card, though, man. I'm really excited
Me
for it.
too.
Thanks for coming on, breaking it down, man. Kind of did a quick breakdown this time. We got a late start, so but yeah, man. It was still fun coming in here and talking about the show real quick. So thanks everyone for watching. Hit the like button when you're watching it back, and besides that, we're gonna be back soon doing more content. So sure check it out, and we'll be back soon. Peace, guys.